On this Tuesday, it is Canada's 158th birthday. The amped-up patriotism in the face of American annexation threats.
I have never been prouder to say, I am Canadian.
Calls to shut it down. The growing campaign to end the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is supposed to provide much-needed help. From beloved televangelist to the butt of jokes.
I have sinned against you.
The death of Jimmy Swagert. And carrying forward a legacy.
It's been incredibly emotional.
The brother of Canadian hero Daryl Fox on his cross-country fundraiser.
Global National, reporting tonight, Ann Gaviola.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Canada Day celebrations are in full swing from coast to coast to coast. Canadians are wrapped in red and white, waving the maple leaf with pride. For many, this year's celebration feels more meaningful than ever. David Akin reports from the national festivities in Ottawa.
Oh, Canada.
It is the 158th time Canadians have celebrated their country's birthday, but the first time with this Prime Minister.
What a crowd, what a capital, what a country!
And it's the first celebration in a newly uncertain time.
And I'm particularly proud that in a world that's fraught with division, that we under the maple leaf have considered our options, and we've decided not to pull apart and fight, but to come together and to build.
It was a national ceremony that touched on some of Canada's most enduring symbols and icons, the snowbirds. And the all-Canadian hero, Daryl Fox.
Daryl Fox remains a symbol of unshakable determination and hope.
The country's first Inuk Governor-General said Canada's peoples have always had that spirit.
Ayuinata is an Inuit word. It means you have perseverance in the face of adversity. It means never give up.
The Duke of Edinburgh.
For the first time since 2017, a member of the royal family joined the party, none other than the King's youngest brother.
There is only one sense that I have here, and today is truly a celebration of you, your home, and your land, strong and free.
Canada's Culture Minister says this Canada Day has taken on its own special meaning.
I think in the last few months we've seen Canadians from coast to coast to coast come together in a way we haven't in a very long time, and that's perhaps because of the threat that's coming from south of our border.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has asked Stephen Guilbeault to build on the swelling pride Canadians have in the wake of American aggression, to find new ways to unite the country and celebrate Canada's unique place in the world. Anne.
David Akin in Ottawa, thank you. Canada's Governor-General officially invested 5 more people into the Order of Canada during Ottawa's Canada Day ceremony. It is one of our country's most prestigious honors, recognizing outstanding achievement, community, dedication, and service. The recipients are Vancouver actor Ryan Reynolds, Nova Scotia singer-songwriter Heather Rankin, Newfoundland and Labrador musician Deantha Ray Edmonds, Hockey Night in Canada's Scott Oake, and Quebec writer Kim Twee. Canadians are asking themselves a lot of questions this Canada Day, like how to deal with the American president, what to spend money on as the trade war drags on, and who are we as a country? As Turia Isri reports, new polling done exclusively for Global News shows national pride is soaring.
Times of crisis have a way of uniting people.
It's a good time for Canada, elbows up.
We don't need them for anything.
This is the first Canada Day since Donald Trump upended one of the most successful relationships in history.
I'm very proud of our country. I think we are demonstrating to the world what it means to have good values, unlike our neighbors to the south.
That pride is surging. A new Ipsos poll found Canadian patriotism has rebounded after years on the decline. Nearly half of people polled say they're more likely to feel proud to be Canadian, a 33% jump from last year.
I don't remember anyone prescribing that all we needed was a loudmouth bully threatening our economy and sovereignty to reignite pride and flag and country. But that's what's happened.
We have to enjoy our Canada Day. We love Canada.
But love for Canada's closest ally appears to be fizzling. 77% of Canadians who responded say they think less of the U.S. because of Trump's threats against Canada. And almost the same amount say they'll be avoiding travel south of the border.
I have canceled my usual visit to the U.S.
Despite the canceled vacations, Prime Minister Mark Carney himself is enjoying a honeymoon. 6 out of 10 Canadians polled say they're confident Canada's political leaders can manage the unpredictable president, who this sociologist says has changed the national psyche.
It's really forced Canadians to think about who we are, and if there's anything that is good that has come out of this rhetoric, it's that Canadians are having this conversation.
And finding even more reasons to celebrate Canada. Taria Isri, Global News, Montreal.
We have breaking news. The U.S. president says Israel has agreed to a 60-day ceasefire. Trump says Hamas should accept it now or the deal could change in Israel's favor. Now, at the same time, more than 160 NGOs are calling for food distribution system, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is backed by the U.S. and Israel, to be disbanded. Redmond Shannon explains, and a warning, the images you're about to see are graphic.
Children being treated for malnutrition in Gaza. Some too young to even know why they're suffering. At the same medical centre, the body of a man in his late 20s. Hospital officials say he died of severe malnutrition.
My concern really that so many elders are dying and passed away with no records, and they are not registered in the court records because they have no access to food.
Aid groups say this is happening because the US and Israeli-backed aid distribution system is deeply flawed and dangerous. This footage from Getty News Agency shows scenes from one aid hub. Getty says it was filmed by a central Gaza resident. The sites set up in May are all in designated combat zones. Israel says the system prevents Hamas from stealing aid.
We are talking about 4 distribution sites for 2 million people. Only that should be, sound as a joke, if it will not be a tragedy.
The United Nations says more than 400 people have been killed at or near the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites. Israel's military acknowledges that people have been harmed and says it will investigate its own actions. That hasn't stopped dozens of aid groups from calling for the program to be disbanded. They say many families tell us they are now too weak to compete for food rations, and many of those shot are left to bleed out alone beyond the reach of ambulances.
The international community failed us from the early beginning of this war. It's prime time for actions, not only statements. Action to save the lives of these children.
Alongside food, fuel supply remains a concern too. Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City says it has had to suspend dialysis for 350 patients. US President Donald Trump says he will be, quote, very firm with Benjamin Netanyahu about ending the war in Gaza when the Israeli leader visits Washington next week. Anne?
Redmond Shannon in London. Thank you. Russia claims it has taken full control of Ukraine's Luhansk region. If confirmed, it would be the first Ukrainian region fully occupied by Moscow after more than 3 years of war. Ukraine is also stepping up attacks. It struck Russian-occupied Donetsk overnight. At least 1 person died. Kyiv also struck deep inside central Russia. A drone attack on a factory killed at least 3 people and injured 35. Europe is in the grips of an exceptionally early summer heat wave. Officials are investigating reports of at least 1 death in Italy. Barcelona experienced its hottest June since 1914 with an average temperature around 25 degrees Celsius. And France issued red alerts for sweltering heat, closing schools and even the top of the Eiffel Tower. In the U.S., President Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill has finally passed the Senate after a marathon overnight voting session. The legislation has a lot of critics, though, and as Candice Cole reports, the bill still has major hurdles to clear before it can become law.
24 hours into a record-breaking vote-a-rama, Donald Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill finally got the green light from the U.S. Senate.
The bill as amended is passed.
But not without drama from within Trump's own party. Republican Senators Rand Paul, Tom Tillis, and Susan Collins siding with Democrats voting against Trump's budget overhaul.
If we're responsible for moving this bill, I believe that it's going to be a massive mistake.
Vice President Vance was needed to break a 50-50 vote and get the bill past the U.S. Senate. But it's not a done deal yet. It still has to make it through the House of Representatives, where lawmakers are expected to push back against amendments in the Senate's version of the bill.
It's the greatest tax cut in the history of our country, and if it doesn't pass, it's the biggest tax increase in the history of our country.
According to the Congressional Budget Office, Trump's bill is expected to add over $3 trillion to the national debt. It calls for cutting almost $1 trillion from Medicaid, knocking almost 12 million people off their health insurance, adds over $150 billion each to spending on defense and ICE enforcement, while cutting $285 billion from critical food and SNAP benefits.
We have before us a bill that gives tax breaks to the top 1%, that will be paid in cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, and more, programs that serve hard-working Americans.
Elon Musk lambasted the bill, threatening to financially back primary opponents of Republican lawmakers who voted in favor of it. During a tour of Florida's migrant detention center, Alligator Alcatraz, Trump didn't mince words.
I think what's going to happen is Doge is going to look at Musk, and if Doge looks at Musk, we're going to save a fortune.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is now eyeing a Wednesday vote on the Big Beautiful Bill to meet the president's self-imposed deadline of July 4th. Candice Cole, Global News, Washington.
A New York jury has reached a partial verdict in the federal case against Sean Combs. Late this afternoon, the jury sent a note to the judge saying it had reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 counts against Combs. But the note says there are jurors with unpersuadable opinions on both sides on the top charge of racketeering. Just 2 days into deliberations, the judge has instructed the jury to keep deliberating. Jimmy Swagert, the televangelist whose multi-million-dollar ministry was crippled by scandal, has died. The 90-year-old Louisiana native was best known as a captivating Pentecostal preacher with a huge following. But in 1988, he was caught on camera with a prostitute. In a tearful sermon, he begged for forgiveness, telling parishioners nationwide, "I have sinned against you." Alleviating Canada's nursing crunch. Coming up, the potential remedy hiding in plain sight. Canada's healthcare system is under major strain with overwhelmed hospitals, long wait times, and a shortage of care providers. But researchers say there could be a solution. A study out of McGill University suggests it's time to tap into the full potential of advanced practice nurses. Dan Spector reports.
Nurses are a key cog of the healthcare machine, but that machine is not running the way we all hoped it would. And according to a study out of McGill University, a major reason is that nurses are not being used to their full capacity.
Decision makers, often there's not a very good understanding of the full scope of what an advanced practice nurse can do.
After crunching data from over 1,600 different studies, McGill University researcher Kelly Kilpatrick and her team discovered a pattern. Advanced practice nurses, like nurse practitioners or clinical nurse specialists, are often not deployed properly.
Often being asked to do things that could be done by someone else who has either less education, preparation, or there's no need to be a healthcare professional to do some activities.
She says managers need to do a better job giving nurses tasks that are in tune with their expertise.
They're safe, they're effective, they're efficient, and we really have to continue to work with decision makers and work with healthcare providers to be able to optimize their scope of practice.
There is a major shortage of family doctors, but instead of being entrusted to help with home care or palliative care, managers at times will sideline nurses.
Very often it's really a lack of experience and not enough knowledge about the roles that may make a decision maker or a manager feel uncertain.
This healthcare union boss says managers are still sometimes hesitant to trust nurses. She worries it's a trend that will continue under Santé Québec. In an emailed statement, Santé Quebec told Global News to improve access to care and services, we must utilize all fields of practice as well as all nursing job titles. This study will certainly give us food for thought. Kilpatrick's study was recently cited by the World Health Organization, and she says health authorities have been receptive to her findings. But being receptive and making change are very different things. Dan Spector, Global News, Montreal.
Ahead, Daryl Fox tells us how he's carrying his brother's legacy forward. Terry Fox is a Canadian hero who epitomizes resilience, grit, and determination. In 1980, 21-year-old Terry Fox embarked on his iconic Marathon of Hope. He dipped his prosthetic leg into the Atlantic and set off from St. John's, Newfoundland, determined to raise funds for cancer research. And these days, Terry's younger brother, Daryl, is determined to honor his sibling's memory with a cross-Canada trek of his own by bike. Daryl joins us now from Canada Day celebrations in Ottawa. Daryl, you're nearing the end of your 7,000-kilometer journey. You started in Vancouver, and now you're in the nation's capital. How are you feeling so far on your National Ride of Hope?
Well, I'm feeling absolutely fantastic. What a great place to be here in Ottawa on Canada Day. And yes, it's been quite the trek. We've got 5,000 kilometers in right now. We're averaging 220 kilometers a day, only 2,000 left. And the response we've had from Canadians, you know, this is a celebration of Canada and a celebration of Terry's incredible legacy. And you know, I'm a sponge for stories of Terry at the best of times, and this has been an adventure full of Terry Fox stories. And it's also been very emotional, just hearing from those that have been moved and inspired by Terry and found their way through cancer because of the investment we've made in cancer research as well.
I absolutely want to hear more about those stories about Terry and what that voyage has been like. But I do have to ask, how much money have you raised so far? Do you have a sense?
Yes, thank you for asking that question. Our goal was to raise $1 million for this ride, and guess what? We've already surpassed it. So I'm quite excited by that. In fact, I think I'm just going to stop now. We don't need to ride anymore because we've got the goal set. No, Terry was always about raising more money for cancer research, so we're going to keep going, and we haven't really set another goal, but we hope to raise a lot more than the $1 million we've raised to date.
I want to know what kind of reception you've received in all the places that you've stopped to visit along the way. What can you tell us about the people of Canada based on your experience?
Well, this is an incredible country. It's a beautiful country. It's a big country, and you know, I'm rekindling memories I have of 1980. I was the third member of the Marathon of Hope. I spent 3 months in a stinky Ford van, and I witnessed a nation embrace my brother, and they're coming out again, not for me and not for my team, but they want to share their memories of 1980. Just recently, a fellow was on the side of the road, and he said, I was standing in this exact spot 45 years ago, and that's what we've been receiving. It's been incredibly emotional. I'm bawling half the times while I'm riding my bike, and I'm just a sponge for all those stories.
Daryl, thank you so much for your time and your insight, and good luck on the rest of your future endeavors. That is Daryl Fox in Ottawa.
Thanks, Ed.
Next, a prestigious theater festival changes its tune to show its patriotism. Shay Gil Alexander's amazing year is getting even better. The Canadian basketball superstar is expected to sign a 4-year, $285 million contract extension with the Oklahoma City Thunder. It would make SGA the highest paid player in NBA history. The 26-year-old from Hamilton, Ontario, was named the regular season and finals MVP. Now, summer may be in full swing, but Canadians don't seem to be traveling like they used to, especially to the U.S. Many are also boycotting American products in response to U.S. President Trump's threats to annex Canada. One Ontario theatre festival started its own patriotic pushback, and as Kevin Gallagher reports, U.S. visitors are supportive.
In Stratford, Ontario, live theatre has been a tradition for more than 7 decades. Though this season, the festival started a new custom that's distinctly Canadian. At first, it's a surprise to hear "O Canada." Then, everyone starts to belt out the words.
We find audiences leaping to their feet and singing along.
The festival usually only plays the national anthem before opening night performances. But this season, before every performance of the musical Annie, the Canadian anthem is played. An idea festival organizers had.
I would love to see Canada be the 51st state.
Around the time President Donald Trump started calling to annex Canada.
You know, Annie is such an American story. It's set in America. The President of the United States is a character in the show. So we thought this would be a really neat counterpoint.
A tone Canadian patrons want to hear.
We think it's awesome. I love it.
Each year, the Stratford Festival says about 1/5 of its business comes from south of the border. Despite the decision to protest Trump's rhetoric with "O Canada," there's actually been a 4% increase in American visitors this year over last.
I like the Canadian national anthem.
Rich Greiner is from Michigan and a Trump supporter, but he's not a fan of the 51st state threats.
The tension's not good, that's for sure. We want to be friends.
As Americans and Canadians join the chorus to keep the true North strong and free. Kevin Gallagher, Global News.
And that is Global National for this Tuesday night. I'm Ann Gaviola. Tonight's Your Canada is a look at how people across the country celebrated our nation's birthday. Thank you for watching. Happy Canada Day and have a great night.